Hey boys and girls. Today we are going to be in our Module 1 through 9 book on page 157. Today we're going to assess the reasonableness of mixed number sums and differences. So not just fractions, now we have mixed numbers. Remember that a mixed number is a whole number and a fraction. So this is an example of a mixed number, 1 1/2, a whole number and a fraction. Okay. Still the same thing, we're just going to have some whole numbers put in there along with our fractions. So let's look at this first one, get started. Caroline trains every weekend for a track and field competition. She writes down how long she spends running sprints and jumping hurdles. How many hours does she spend training on Sunday? So we can look here at her journal, and it says 2 2/5 for sprints and 1 1/4 for hurdles. Sorry. So already we can kind of make some estimates here. And kind of think in our head about how much these are. But first it says write an expression to model it. Okay, it says how many hours does she spend training? So if we write an expression, we're going to say the 2 2/5 plus the 1 1/4 because we want to know how much she's training together. So now let's estimate. Let's think about 2/5. Okay, 1/2 of 5 would be 2 1/2. So 2/5 is about a half. Don't forget that whole number though. We're not rounding it. We're going to keep it like it is. 1 1/4. You know, you could kind of go either way on this. I think I'm going to round it down to 1. But if you said 1 1/2, that would be okay. You know, this is an estimate. So that would be about 3 1/2. If you had changed this to 1 1/2, then it would be about 4, which is not far from 3 1/2. Okay, so it says rewrite the expression in part A using equivalent fractions with a common denominator. So let's look, we have fifths and fourths. Probably already something's coming to your mind that 5 and 4 have in common. And I'm going to rewrite it over here so I have room. 2 2/5 plus 1 1/4. You're probably thinking of 20. 5, 10, 15, 20. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So 5 times 4 gives me 20, and 2 times 4 is 8. So 2/5 is equivalent to 8/20. 1/4 would be equivalent to 5/20. 4 times 5 is 20. 1 times 5 is 5. We've made equivalent fractions here. We've been using them all this time. We know we haven't changed our answer. Okay, so now I can add them together. 8 plus 5 is 13/20. And don't forget the whole numbers. 2 plus 1 is 3. So we wrote new fractions 2 8/20 plus 1 5/20. How many hours does she spend training? 3 13/20 hours. Is my answer reasonable? Well, we said about a half. We know half of 20 is 10. 13 is very close to 10. So yes, 3 1/2 is close to 3 13/20. Because that would be 3 10/20. Okay? Let's keep looking at some more. Jonah's best pole vault jump is 7 1/4 feet. A sign in the gymnasium shows the gym's record, right here. How much shorter than the gym's record is Jonah's best jump? So the best is 8 7/12. His is 7 1/4. It's smaller. We want to know how much smaller is it. What is the difference in those two amounts? So here's our expression right here, 8 7/12. Let's estimate that answer. I know half of 12 is 6, so I'm going to say that's about 8 1/2. And if I'm doing 7 1/4, again, you can kind of go either way. Let's just go ahead and keep it 7. So that'd be about 1 1/2. So let's rewrite this. Let's find common denominators. Look at your larger one. Can 4 go into 12? 4, 8, 12. Yes, it can. That just makes it a little bit easier if you do that. So that would keep 7/12 the same because we did not change the denominator. But an equivalent fraction for 1/4, and we've practiced this one a lot, would be 3/12. So if we're changing them, we have 8 7/12 minus 7 3/12. And our answer would be 1, because 8 minus 7 is 1, and 4/12. Or we could say 1, because if we simplify them, and 1/3, which is equivalent to 4/12. We know that. We've practiced that. Okay? Is our answer reasonable? Yes. We estimated 1 1/2. 1 1/3 is very close to 1 1/2. Okay? Let's do this number 2 down here. We are finding the sum or the difference, finding our common denominator. Probably right off, you know this needs to be 10. We're not changing this one. We know 5 times 2 is 10, so 3 times 2 is 6. If we're adding, 2 plus 1 is 3. 6 plus 3 is 9/10. The main mistake that I see happening is that you guys will just add the numerators, add the denominators, add the whole numbers. But remember, fifths and tenths are not the same thing. They're different values. Okay, with this one, let's look at our larger one. We have 8 and 2. Do we say 8 when we count by 2s? 2, 4, 6, 8. Yes, we do. And we don't have to change this one. I love that. 2 times 4 is 8. 1 times 4 is 4. We know that 1/2 is equivalent to 4/8. So 3 minus 1 is 2. 7 minus 4 is 3/8. All right, guys. So we can keep on practicing on the next few pages. Continue and do that homework.